All right, this last chapter, P.6, is going to be pretty quick. It's all review on graphing that we've done in Algebra 1, geometry, and even stuff that you've seen in pre-algebra. So if we think about the slope formula, we know that the slope formula, slope is represented by the letter m, and the slope is the difference in y values. Right? If I'm given 2 points, I can subtract the two y values, and that's typically called the rise. And that's over the difference in the x values, and that's typically called the run. All right, so y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And the 2's and the 1's, that just means whenever you see a 2, I'm talking about the second point, and whenever you see a 1, I'm talking about the first point. All right, that's completely arbitrary. You know, the way they list the points, I could switch around the order. It's not going to make a difference, but you know, however you choose to subtract in one operation, right, with your y values, you have to kind of go in the same direction with your x values. Slope-intercept form we know is y equals mx plus b. Again, m is the slope, right? This is your rise over run, and then b represents the y-intercept. Okay, remember the y-intercept is wherever point it crosses the y-axis. Okay, it's not a y value. I mean, it is a y value, but it's a specific type. It's the y-intercept. This right here on the left side, this y, that's not the y-intercept. All right, that's just the y-coordinate of a specific point on the graph. So if we're asked to graph this first equation here, we can see that my slope is 2/3. So I have to go up 2 and right 3. And then I can see my y-intercept is -4. So this is kind of where I have to start on the y-axis, right? So I'd go down here on the y-axis. I'd start at -4. We just put that dot right there. And then I have to go up 2 and right 3. So from here I'd go up 1, 2, and then right 1, 2, 3. And I'd get the point. And I can do it again. Up 2 over 1, 2, 3. And I get that other point. All right, and then from there, I like to do a minimum of 3 points just to get a pretty accurate graph. So I'm going to go ahead and now connect those with a straight line. And there we go. All right. Second one. Now this one I can't graph just yet because I have to get it into slope-intercept form first. So I'm going to have to go ahead and move this 4x over to the right side. And to do that, I'm going to have to subtract it. So minus 4x on both sides. So we get a -2y equals -4x, and that's a positive 10 there. So I'm going to put a plus 10. And then I'm going to have to divide everything by -2 to try to get y all by itself. All right, so the -2's here cancel. So we're left with y equals 2x minus 5. All right. So from here, again, I can identify the slope, right? This means I go 2 up and 1 to the right. Right, 2 is the same as 2 over 1. And then again, the -5 is where I have to start. So I'm going to start at -5, pretty similar graph to the previous one, actually. And then we're going to go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, and now I've got my 3 points, and I can go ahead and connect them with a line, and that's going to be it. All right, so that's how you graph lines, all right? If it's not in slope-intercept form, you have to first put it into slope-intercept form. All right, if I'm asked to find the slope between 2 points, again, that's my slope formula, right? So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'm going to label this. This is my first point, so I'm going to call it x1, y1. And my second point, I'm going to call x2, y2. So if I just start plugging in these numbers, we take 10 minus y1 is -6, so we're going to have a double negative here. x2 is 4 minus x1 is 2. So we end up with 16 over 2, which is just 8. All right, so we found the slope between these 2 points. You could write 8 over 1, but typically you're just going to see it as a positive 8 there. So now we're kind of doing the same thing, but I don't want to just find the slope. I want to find the equation of the line. So we have to, if I'm going to write the equation of the line, I need the slope and the y-intercept. And right now we don't know either, but I can find both of those things. So first let's try to find the slope, kind of like what we did in the previous problem. All right, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And let's label these points again. Oops, there we go. So if I subtract my y values, we've got -2 minus 6. And then if I subtract the x values, 3 minus a -1. So this ends up being a -8 over a +4, which is just -2. So we've found the slope, but I don't know the y-intercept just yet, right? Just because these are y values doesn't make them the y-intercepts, because this is not where it crosses the y-axis. So I have to go ahead and I have to find the y-intercept still. So if I think about my slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, we just said, well, we know the slope is -2, right? We just found that right there, so that's good. But now I can actually use either of these 2 points. It doesn't matter which point you choose. You can pick either one. Both will work out the same. And you have to plug in your x and your y value for x and y. So let's take this first point, -1, 6, and I'm going to go ahead and plug in a 6 for the y value, right? Again, that's my y value is 6. That goes right there. And then I can maybe plug in a -1 for my x value. All right, plus b. So that's where we're getting these from. Again, I could have chosen the 3 and the -2 instead. I would get the same answer for b, but I just arbitrarily chose the -1, 6. So this is going to be 6 equals 2 plus b. We'll subtract 2 on both sides, and we find out that the y-intercept is 4. So this equation, y equals -2x plus 4, that should be the equation of the line that goes through these 2 points. All right. And if we go ahead, we could check on Desmos. Desmos, again, is a great graphing tool. If you were to go on Desmos right now and graph these 2 points and then graph this equation, you would find that this equation is a line that goes through those 2 given points. All right, so if you want to try that and verify, you can try that right now, and that should be the correct answer.